I've lived in Seattle for 8 years, and the Pacific Northwest for my entire life. Bellingham, Tacoma, Eugene. So I've decided to round up the good, the bad, and the ugly of living in Seattle in 2022. Some of these may surprise you, so make sure you stick around until the end, because you're gonna wanna know this as you determine if Seattle is right for you or not.
Hi friends, Alex Kais here, realtor with a home in Seattle. And this is my list of pros and cons and what I wish I knew before moving to Seattle. I'm 34 now, I was 26 when I moved here, which makes it feel like quite a long time ago, but I've had some pretty good experience with settling into the city. And spoilers, I do love it here with all of its flaws and its quirks. I'm going to organize my thoughts here based on the questions left in my last Q&A video, which you can watch here. So if you have a question you want answered, leave it in the comments and I'll talk about it next time. Thank you, Alex. What are your thoughts on the Seattle freeze? I don't know where this whole Seattle freeze thing came from. I will admit that walking down the street, strangers don't smile and wave to each other. Personally, I've been a little weirded out by that whenever I visit the Midwest or the South. I think it comes from our Scandinavian roots here in Seattle. In America, it's a social norm to make small talk about the weather, sports, other little non-committal topics. But in Nordic countries, the polite thing to do is to stand in silence. I did live in Norway for 2 months on an artist residency, and people were very friendly, but I did feel at home in the stoicism. It's my opinion that if you want to make friends in Seattle, all you have to do is join a club, pursue an activity, or seek out people with a common interest to you. And it should be fairly easy enough. It's a little frosty here, and people will probably not become best buds after meeting at a bar, but put yourself out there. You got this, champ. Me and my wife really want to move to Seattle in the next 3 to 5 years, but it's so damn expensive. What should we do? Bad news. Seattle's expensive. It's not the most expensive city in America. I did try Googling the most expensive city in America, and every list is a little bit different. Statistics. Here's a little perspective though. In 2019, the mean income in Seattle proper made it over the 100K mark. The median home price is about $850,000. The average rent on a 2-bed apartment is about $2,200. Sales tax is 10.1%. The average price for a meal at an average restaurant is $17.50. Most of our power comes from hydro though, so at least electricity is cheap. So what should you do? I don't know. Get a side hustle. Almost everyone I know has one. So I'm coming from out of state, and I was wondering what would be a good way to apartment hunt. I mostly help people with home purchases, but Zillow is really the best place to start for rentals. Every landlord I know posts there, and almost every renter I know found an apartment there. Seattle's very renter friendly though. The city even put together this really cool renter's handbook. I'm always impressed by the city's graphic designers. They keep it fun and informational. I'll link it below so that you can have a look. As a daily bus commuter in Seattle, I think they're more reliable than you presented. It will vary between lines, but I rarely have to wait longer than 15 minutes for a bus, and I'm able to access much of the city without many transfers or walking. This said, it's a different lifestyle than driving, and you will need to likely plan an extra 15 to 30 minutes on your commute. The light rail in Seattle is limited, but the buses here are pretty amazing. Reed, you are correct. I apologize. I was overly harsh, and I'm mostly impressed with public transit in Seattle. I've heard from a number of commuters that the transit options are pretty great and mostly reliable. I mostly find it frustrating when I want to visit a friend, go shopping, or take a bus on the off hours. That's when I see a lot of missed connections and always opt for my car these days. I did ride the bus a lot when I first moved to Seattle and lived in Beacon Hill. But the North End has much less urban density, and it's harder to navigate without a car. I really like your videos and how you narrate. I'm in Austin now, but don't see myself living here long term. I work in big tech and can ask for a transfer to Seattle, which is what I plan to do more than likely. I like Capitol Hill, but I also like to jog in the morning with my dog. Are there trails near or in Capitol Hill? I don't like jogging or running in the city with my dog because it's chaotic. I do like going out, but it's not a must for me to live in the heart of the city since it can be pretty loud. What neighborhood would fit my lifestyle, do you think? First, there are trees everywhere, so even the urban spots are really green and lush. And then it's the parks in the city that make most people fall in love with it. There's a handful of parks designed by the Olmsted brothers. If you're a fan of architecture, you might know their father, Frederick Olmsted, who designed Central Park. To nerd out for just a minute, Seattle commissioned the Olmsted brothers to design a comprehensive green belt through the entire city, and is the best preserved Olmsted Park system in the country and in the National Registry of Historic Places. You can step right into history by visiting Cal Anderson, Green Lake, Magnolia, Volunteer, Seward, and Mount Baker Park, just to name a few of them. Really, if you're looking to be near green space in Seattle, any neighborhood's gonna work. You just throw a rock and you'll hit a park. Where do the over 40 crowd with no kids live? I know a lot of people without kids choosing to live in the high rises downtown. It's not for everyone, because then you're in a truly urban environment with all that entails. Noise, garbage, access to theater and music, stunning views. Sounds fun to me, and that's what I would probably do if I was living the childless life. If you want something a little bit more single-family house-oriented, Magnolia's an older crowd. Laurelhurst and Phinney Ridge are really great options too. Okay, I don't know if I answered those super specifically and very well at all, but I did answer them in the comment section. So leave a comment below if you're thinking about moving to town and you have any questions. I definitely recommend it. It's a fun city and it is worth it. I made a couple notes here, and here's a few more pros and cons of living in Seattle. First con is the traffic. It's not very good. COVID has made it a little bit better with people staggering going back to work. It's not so bad, but the city's bounded by water with the Puget Sound on one side and Lake Washington on the other. There's just I-5 and Highway 99 as a north-south route. If there's traffic on one of those, then it gets bottlenecked. Pro is crime, or lack of crime. It's pretty safe here. I'm a white guy in his 30s, so take it with a grain of salt. You might feel differently if you're not like me, but I haven't been hassled and I haven't been crimed against. I will say that the only time I've been hassled is in downtown during the evening times, going out to see a show or getting some food. It's a little shady around there, and I've had people actually hassle me and my group. So yeah, the rest of the city's pretty great though, and I've never felt too unsafe. Okay, Kendall doesn't necessarily agree with my assessment on crime and safety. Here's what she has to say.
Yeah, I don't think I feel as safe as you do. Like when I worked in Seattle, I didn't like being in the building by myself, and some theft and crime in the area was definitely an issue. You want to make sure the building was secure, that sort of thing. I remember I had a friend who had just moved here from Manhattan, and she said she did not feel safe here compared to New York because, there's people out at all hours. And she doesn't drive. She relies on public transportation, so she would not take public transportation here at night. She would say she doesn't feel safe here. Go to sleep.
A con is homelessness. I think the city has done a huge disservice to these people, just not providing enough for them, not offering programs, not offering housing. But it is what it is. And these tent encampments seem to pop up and get shut down sporadically. And it's something to be aware of, that there will be homeless people living throughout the city. A pro is composting. I absolutely love the composting program here. There's a trash pickup service for yard waste, and I just have a little composting bucket next to my sink. I put all my food scraps in there, and the trash doesn't get stinky, and I can feel good about myself not putting banana peels into the landfills, for whatever that's worth. Con would be the weather. I don't mind the rain so much. I grew up here. I love how lush and green it is, but it's the light. It getting dark at 4 or 5 in the afternoon starts to wear on you. By about February, I'm ready for springtime, which is good because then there's only about a month left of winter. And the final pro, the city is incredibly accepting of your lifestyle, of how you want to dress, of how you want to live. Capitol Hill has historically been the gay-friendly neighborhood in Seattle, but now, it's spread. The entire city is very accepting. It's a pretty liberal city. You can just do what you want to do, and not too many people are going to get down on you for it. Okay, Seattle's expensive. There's trash in the streets. It rains all the time, but it's also lush and green. People accept you as you are, and composting's the norm. It's not perfect, but no city's perfect, except in Norway, where everybody's happy and quiet. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Subscribe and stay tuned for next week's video, and if you're thinking about making a home in Seattle, send me a message and we'll chat about it. Bye!